So, Joe, since the economy obviously has had some significant changes, the giving patterns obviously are changing. In a very practical way, how would you recommend churches adjust? What do they need to do? What do you suggest they do at this point?
I would create something that doesn't exist in most churches, and that's a generosity team. Most churches will have a finance team, and they'll say, "Well, we want you to be responsible for growing giving," but the folks that are usually motivated to be on the finance team are more interested in expense allocation, so they'd rather cut than get focused on the growing side of that. The other thing is, or we have staff do it, but if we don't create a team that is multidisciplinary. So we've got the administration function, the finance function there. We've got the communication team there. We've got the worship team there. We've got the discipleship team there. If we don't have an integrated strategy, then we're not going to be sending a consistent message. And what helps move people is a consistent message that they understand. So I'd start with a generosity team, and then I would clarify my language, not only mission, vision, and values, but your theology of generosity. Churches tend to use all kinds of different words, and I would settle on a few of them: percentage giving, tithing, and be very specific about what each one of those words mean. So when we say stewardship, that's different from generosity, that's different from giving. An offering is different from a tithe. Being clear about what those words mean and making sure that we use them consistently in all of our messaging will help accelerate generosity within the church. I think
Okay.
churches need to be aware of the increasing comfort that our members and regular attenders have with technology. We have been very slow to embrace it, and we say some non-helpful things because it's the way we want them, and we're not looking at things from the household perspective and what gets them more deeply engaged. And so, online and on-demand worship, that's the new front door. People are going to look at you online before they come into worship. Folks that want to do online worship are going to do online worship. If not with you, they're going to find somebody. The question is, how do we make that experience transformational for them? And it's not going to be peering in, watching other people do worship. It's got to engage them. We've got to make things easy, quick, and fast. So our giving methods need to be easy, quick, and fast. Our signups need to be that way. We need to use QR codes to drive people where we need them. They need to be up on the screens when we're doing on demand. We need to make it easy for somebody to register, so we know who did that. We need to be using CRM databases that tell us about people's patterns. And so we as a church have got to embrace technology. And frankly, we've got to measure our effectiveness if we're going to tell our story. And that's going to require analytics. And then we need to adjust our funding strategies. A year-round approach focused on engagement along that discipleship path. We've got to have a high capacity development strategy that is different from core donor development, which is different from the crowd donor development. You need to be looking at alternative revenue streams. We've got these massive facilities that are not used on a daily basis in far too many cases. So we need to be creative about how we can use those, how we can be benevolent landlords to people, how we can use our facilities in ways that we haven't. Also, have already touched on this, but donor analytics, and we've got to keep up with what's happening. What's happening in donor advised funds is going to require us to have a very different strategy. The way that people will try to maximize their taxes by giving double in one year and not in the next. We need to set up ways to educate folks and encourage them to do that. Our county systems need to be ready to move those revenue dollars into different periods. We need to understand the importance of receiving money the way people want, including cryptocurrency. There's a crazy amount of wealth in cryptocurrency, and for millennials and Gen Zs, they've invested in it heavily. Regardless of how you feel about it, if they have all this wealth stored in it, the ability to give it to you in the best tax advantage way. And if you are not sending everybody a notice when they turn, a birthday card when they turn 72 and a half that says, gosh, now you can give your from your 401k, your mandatory distributions, people will thank you when you're educating them. So we need to be looking at things from our donors' perspective with an eye of how do we embrace technology to move them along the discipleship pathway? How do we change our strategies, including our communication, to move them along? And so it is not easy. It is a hard thing to do. And we've set our thinking around giving in too many of the churches around what it was like to get the builder generation to give. But the builder generation is 80 years old and plus. I think 79 and plus. And so we have got to focus on growing generosity in these other segments. And it really requires work and attention.